Namaste. Hello, everyone. It's the new year still, huh? So let's take a moment and share this peace that's somewhere hidden inside us very deep. So take a comfortable seat and close your eyes. And bring your attention to your breath. And allow the breath to relax and to flow deep into the belly. Not by a force of will, but just by letting go. Allow the breath to become deeper and a little slower. And come fully into yourself. Become present. Feel the weight of your body as it's pushing down into the seat. Notice all the sounds around you. There's even a sound inside the ears. And notice how the mind still runs this way or that way. But where is that witnessing consciousness that is aware of the mind? Is it running with the mind? Or is it just observing what's going on? Then bring your attention to that still place, that place of absolute peace, deep in the heart, in the very core of your being. And let yourself relax into that spiritual heart. And still you might notice the mind going on little trips here and there, and just keep bringing it back to the heart or to the breath. Become centered and still again and again. That is meditation. And notice if there are short spaces of pure presence, of pure mental silence between the thoughts. Just notice them. these breaks in the chattering of the mind, this sensation of purely being there, pure presence, and this limitless softness and greatness of the heart. These are the experiences to expand. Because in those moments when you're deeply in touch with yourself, it is so easy to love yourself just the way you are. All the challenges we face, whether it's stress or anxiety, fear, relationship problems, addictions, grief, old pain, whatever it may be, whatever diagnosis you give yourself or somebody gave you, it all comes to an end here in that space of the heart. It is the supreme medicine. And in this heart of yours, you love yourself completely at all times. We just have to bring the mind along so it can also begin to realize that, to drink from that well, to nurture itself from this source that never runs dry. So find this place inside of you, beyond all the self-criticism and all the self-doubt. That place that is so gentle, so sweet, where you do love yourself, where you are your own most dear friend. Try to get even just a moment, a glimpse of this full-bodied acceptance. All the ways you push yourself and you drive yourself, you criticize yourself, you tell yourself to do better, to be better. All these efforts at improving, they all point to this place of the heart. So you can just cut out all of that tension and come straight to the heart. And you can't do that by force. You do that by relaxing into yourself, into this place of peace in you. By giving yourself a chance to taste this sweetness. It's okay, I promise you can pick up your self-criticism again later, but let's just leave it outside the door for now. Because there's such a place of beauty in you that it can take your breath away. If you imagine a little baby resting in absolute trust and abandon at its mother's breast, that is the peace that is always inside of you. When you imagine this sweetness of the love of Radha for Krishna, this sweetness is your heart. You imagine the boundless peace of the Buddha's heart. This is your heart. And you imagine this enormous love of Jesus, who loved his Father, his higher self, so profoundly that he could give away his very life. This is the capacity of your heart to transcend all the limitations you have imagined in the past. Your heart is the seat of your divinity. And it is the space of the soul, your humanness as well. So allow this golden essence of the heart to radiate from your being into your body, your mind, and especially into all the parts of you that need a little help. Allow that help, that great blessing, that grace to come alive in your heart. It's already there. It's like you forget the mind and you open your heart to your heart. So let's take some deep breaths together. Deep inhale. Exhale all the way out. Inhale again. Relax. What am I saying? Relax from relaxing. Okay. You know what I mean. So this deep comfort, that's what we are. Why then do we get lost so much in the mind? In our emotions, in our relationships, in our hassles and worries, our grumpiness, our imaginations. Because we bring with us old patterns that need to be not necessarily lived out, but that need to be seen to be non-essential. So when you notice a particular pattern of unhappiness or stress, that's the step that is offered to you to take to get closer to your enlightenment. There is never a problem. The problem is a mental interpretation that there could be something wrong. There cannot be anything wrong when you understand that everything that happens is necessarily a step closer to your, what we call the heart, your enlightened awareness. But of course, there are many steps you may have tried to take many times in your life, and you don't really take the step because you don't know how. So the problem recurs in a different way. You may be able to push it away or to escape from it, but there it comes again. So you need to go to the roots of those things. And the roots are in what causes them. And that's where we have some confusion, because there are some people, they say, oh, your past, your genes, your upbringing, your history created these problems. In other words, they came from outside. And there's certainly a lot of evidence for that. But when we look at what we're dealing with, it's not in the past, is it? It's arising right now. So if my father-in-law did something to me when I was 6, that may be so. But how is it appearing in me now? Isn't that the more immediate cause of my unhappiness? So that's why we're looking for the cause in the way it arises inside of us moment to moment. And then if we can free up that cause, then there will be no need for that story to be repeated. And that cause is thoughts that appear. Or it could even just be sort of this sense of denseness of the mind. It doesn't even have to be specific thoughts, some veiling of the mind. This is really the most subtle way where it starts. Then it becomes specific thoughts. Then it becomes emotions. And it goes on from there, becoming behavior and physical reality, illness, problems in relationships, and so on. When we have these problems, then what happens next? They create more stressful thoughts. And the whole cycle renews itself. So we need to cut that cycle somewhere, this vicious cycle. And the best place to cut it is where it starts, which is with the mind and emotions. So if we have the skills to stop the stressful thoughts, and that cannot be done by force, it has to be done by awareness. And to bring our emotions into harmony, which cannot be done by a manipulation of something, but by an allowing of that harmony to appear. Then the behaviors that are problematic will not manifest, the physical reality will follow suit, and no new streams of stressful thoughts will be created. So we cut that cycle right at the place of the mind. For that, we need to have a sense of stillness. We need to engage in some practices. But we won't have the strength and the wherewithal and the enthusiasm to continue a practice unless we feel some aliveness in our heart, because that's where all the vitality comes from. So this Going into the heart, into stillness, into the heart, feeling whatever smallest bit of essence you can feel in the heart, whatever peace there is, whatever sweetness of love you can find and taste. That then encourages you to go deeper. And then we have the work of Byron Katie to find the truth of our thinking, which does not allow thoughts that are just not true to continue to play in the mind. And I continue to this day to be amazed at what we all believe that is just not true. There's an enormous amount of deep-seated beliefs, the way we describe reality in our world, that is just patently wrong. But we only one by one can experience that, and with that, the whole paradigm of our life will change. And we can embrace our emotions, even the most stressful emotions. Now, embrace may be a little too quick, too much to ask. But we can bring our attention to what we feel in the body, even in the deepest place of terror. Now, we hide from these places of emotional pain. We don't want to go there. That's understandable. And at one point, that's an act of self-love. There's no sense in torturing yourself by staying in a place of pain. But with enough self-love, a point comes where you have decided to free yourself of these old ghosts in the mind, these old terrors. I just heard of this gentleman who is in the dying process. And a friend was with him just maybe for a little while. But while she was with him, he was able to touch on some of his great terrors in his life. And just in that sensitive space of being close to passing out of the body, he just had to touch on them. And something was able to let go. And he rested and told her, I haven't rested like this in months. Because when we come near the end of the life and we're still conscious, then these old terrors come close to the surface. But why wait until then, when you're probably rather defenseless? Not that you have to defend from those things, but find them now with a determination to free yourself of anything that causes you pain. Find them now. Now is your chance. You don't really know if you have tomorrow. None of us know. We imagine, oh yeah, la-di-da, I'm going to live forever. But we don't know. One of my best friends, who was actually 2 years younger than me, had the same birthday. Was riding a motorcycle in India, dead. Like that. That happened a little over a year ago, 2 years ago. You never know. So take on this incredible, glorious task of freeing yourself. Now, do it. What do you have to lose? Only your terrors, your fears, your running after stuff that will never fulfill you. What we're all really seeking is our innermost heart. It's already there. Perhaps you can feel it now. Feel that space of the heart. You don't have to meditate for that. It's always there. And how it radiates into your being and fills you from the inside. And let it give you the strength and this incredible joy to tackle the stuff you don't need, the stuff that puts you down. It's a minor reality compared to the major reality of the heart. That we've concentrated on the minor realities in our lives so much that they've become major. We need to turn that around. And you can search for ways to love, to express your heart, to express your love. And the best way is to do it in ways where you won't be found out. Because then you circumvent the ego taking credit. We all love to be the star of the show and the good one and so on, but let's just be that which we are without showing off.
There's a question in the chat. She says, thank you, my first name. Let me just select this. My first name is Katarina. I have trouble keeping my daily routine of regular meditation. I wish that I could be truly dedicated, but my energy seems to disappear quickly. I feel like I'm a leaking vessel. I'm really, really tired of myself. What should I do to be truly dedicated?
Hi, Katarina. The energy and the enthusiasm that you're looking for comes from the heart. And I'm always very careful when someone asks me to teach them how to meditate, to say to them, do only as much as you can without a great effort. That's where we need to start. We need to build slowly. One of my students and friends just couldn't meditate. It was just not happening. But he really wanted to do it. So he created for himself a sacred space on the balcony. Here in Miami, you can be out there all year long. And he really liked that space, and he made it his habit to sit there every morning for 3 minutes because that's all he could handle. And it really changed his life. There were days when he didn't sit his 3 minutes and he could feel it the whole day. And I haven't heard from him for a while. He may have expanded the time now, but these 3 minutes were perfect for him. So start where you are with what you can do, because we're all so hypercritical. It's like, well, I gotta be able to do 20 minutes at least. And then if we don't, we get down on ourselves. So the state of energy that you have right now for your practice is perfect for you right now. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Start there, do as little or as much as you can. And try to do little enough so you can do it regularly. So let's say you're doing 3 minutes of meditation a day, and do that for a week or two and see if you can expand it to 4 minutes. And find that peace of the heart. See, we can't find that when we're busy berating ourselves that we should be better. Find that peace of the heart. So these moments of meditation become something so delicious that you just don't want to miss them. That's where you find your energy. And that may not happen every day, that's okay. But every once in a while you touch on something that is just keeping you going. I had a morning meditation about 2 weeks ago that does not get out of my mind. Because I went into a state that was so blissful. And of course, then you go, oh, I want that again. Well, that may take a little bit more work. So I'm very happy to do that. So above all, watch the critical mind. We have been trained that we'll get better if we're just tougher on ourselves. And I find that to be one of the real misleading pieces of how we're conditioned. We will do our best when we love what we do. And you might look at your life and see what else there is that you don't really love and make some changes. And come to be really in sync with yourself, to really love yourself, to create a life for you that is as good as it can be right now, with an aim toward your highest goal, toward enlightenment, by whatever name you call that. And then, this is what we're all doing, anything you face, anything that comes down the pike, becomes this next important step to your freedom, to your great, unlimited self-love. And you come to realize that nothing is bad. Nothing can possibly be bad, because even the bad things bring good. But to find that, we have to look for it. Because if we just define something as bad, then that's all the mind can see. Byron Katie, who's going to be here in 2 weeks, not on this show, unfortunately, but here in Miami, says that if you want something with all your heart, you just every fiber of your being wants it, and then you find out you can't have it. That's a reason for great excitement, because something better has got to come. This is a cosmic law. But what we do is we desire something and then we can't have it. And then we go into grief, or we go into anger, or we go into depression. You know, I'm just never get to where I want to go. And in that state of mind, we will miss the better thing that's coming. I'll just pass this right by. Because we are the architects of our destiny. We are the architects of our mind, of what we perceive. We perceive through the way our mind functions. And when my mind is depressed, I live in a depressed world. And when my mind is joyful, I live in a joyful world. We all have that experience. And we cannot change the world out there. We've all tried it many times, and then the next problem occurs. But if we change that, then that world out there changes. because our reactions to everything will be different. What if you could keep your mind open, your mind and heart open all the time? Think about the times when you really can't. Now, if you're on this path to the heart, to living in that space that we call the heart, in this enlightened space, and then some grumpy moment appears, or some depression flutters back in, open the door, say welcome. I needed you today to grow some more. How else are we going to grow if we don't visit those parts of us that are not yet enlightened? So open the door to them. Don't get mad if they show up. They just come in to set you free. And the worst that can happen if you suffer again is that your desire for freedom gets strengthened. And that's not a bad thing at all. Soon there will be nothing that can stand in your way. Because the only things you have to deal with are your thoughts and your emotions. And when they're clear and in harmony, the rest of your being will be aligned. And you will do your best in whatever situation you happen to be in. And you may say, oh, well, I did this really lousy. Well, congratulations, that was your best. And now you can look back, and because you saw it was lousy, you're already better. You already have more insight. The next time it comes around, you won't do that again. You see? Even if we make a total ass of ourselves, fantastic. I got that out of the way. Now I can do a little bit better next time. I may still make an idiot of myself for God knows how many times, but every time a little bit less. And it will only come as many times as it's needed. As soon as we get it, the pattern will stop. And in that way, the world will change. If I have a victim pattern, I need to be victimized. How else am I going to grow? And if nobody victimizes me, then I'll make it up in my mind and I'll project it onto them. Because how else am I going to grow? How else am I going to get free of this pattern? So open the door to your problems. And of course, that only makes sense when your focus on enlightenment is clear and strong. Before that, it would just be masochism, not recommended. After that, the world changes. Any questions? Any comments? Anybody relate to this? Oh, yes, I see a lot of heads nodding. So, what can you invite more that you usually dread? A pattern of your particular hang-ups or pain or fears. Or even desires. It's like we can have these patterns of desires and we can already have an idea, well, that's not really making me happy. But the pattern is still there. So can you consciously invite it in order to see through it as it's happening? Because it's only when we buy into these old habits, these old patterns, we buy into them, then they run us. But if they come up and we can see through them, oh, it's this one again. Okay, just observe that. And maybe it takes a few moments, a few hours, a few days to run through. Just stay in that witness mind as much as you can. It's like you're draining the power out of that stuff. Any examples? I should just not do this meditation on the heart, because then you just sit there and you look at me with this happy smile, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Safety.
One taker.
Safety. Like safety.
Safety?
Yeah, security, safety.
Mm-hmm. So what happens with you with safety? Trust me, well, we can ask. Everyone will be able to relate to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just any type of situation. It can be a relationship situation. It can be a financial situation. It can be even thoughts about the kids' well-being. You know, anything has to do with being safe.
So if you really get honest with yourself, now I'm not asking about your thoughts and your feelings. I'm asking about the reality of it. Have you ever not been safe? No, she shakes her head no. Isn't that interesting? So where does the fear of not being safe come from?
The mind, totally.
Yeah. So we have an experience. Maybe you're skiing and you break a leg. And then you're in your cast and you have this interpretation that it wasn't safe, that there was a problem, all of that stuff, right? And it starts, of course, much earlier in childhood when we're told, don't do that, be careful, and so on. And we develop this idea of not being safe, and then we project it into the future. And we start to feel profoundly unsafe, really shaky. But if you look at the reality of things now, yeah, of course, you're walking down a dark alley and you don't feel safe, and a guy comes and hits you over the head and takes your money. You say, well, I wasn't safe. Well, here you are, and you're out of your money, and you got a big bruise on your head and a headache. But were you not safe through that whole experience? Tricky stuff, right? So the ego wants to say, well, of course I wasn't safe, right? But what are you? You go down that dark alley and you get killed. Is there a problem? I know I'm pushing the envelope now. The fact that you got killed tells me that your life was over. Without all the interpretation, oh, it shouldn't have happened, he was too young to die, da, 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 right? But just looking at reality itself, you're dead, therefore I know you're supposed to be not in this body. But you, so the body is history, but what about you? Are you unsafe? No, you just had this particular fate to leave this body in this particular way. Not pleasant. Nobody looks for that, but it happens to some people. Other people die in their bed. We say, well, that's how it's supposed to be. But who's to say? No one dies at the wrong time. That's just a mental interpretation again. And then we, again, with that, make a world where terrible things happen. Children shouldn't die before their parents. Well, on what planet? They do on this one. Can we live in peace with that, or do we have to fight it? Do we have to object? What happens when we object to what is? We live in hell. So you put yourself into hell and then you blame the planet. And guess what the planet turns into for you because you're looking at it that way. It's a hellish planet where children die before their parents, etc. Where there's terrorism and rape and murder and God knows what. So we have a long way of becoming used to thinking that things happen here that shouldn't be happening. And what does that do to us when we think that way? It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't have happened. How do we live with that? And it could be a big thing like what I was talking about, or it could be, yeah, I shouldn't have said that, and she shouldn't have done that. What we say when we engage in that kind of thinking, we say the past should have been different. Has that ever been possible since the beginning of time? That the past should have been different?
No.
Never. Not once. And I guarantee it will never be true in the future. But that doesn't keep us from believing it and saying, yes, it shouldn't have happened. Damn, it shouldn't have happened. That's not very smart to believe something that's absolutely impossible. But that's the going rate on this planet. You see, it's crazy thinking. There's no other word for that. We believe something that is absolutely untrue and will always be untrue. That's the definition of crazy, isn't it? But it goes for normal around here. So when we engage in this kind of thinking, of course, the mind shuts down, the heart shuts down. And then what do we contribute to the world and to the people around us? Not what we want to experience and not what they want to experience. So we have to clear the mind of these crazy things that we believe. And how do we know that something is crazy? Now, I just want to give you a pointer, and then I want you to go and do your own experimenting. The pointer is, if it's stressful, it may not be true, no matter how hard you believe in it. And when you look at, when you examine it, I'm talking now about the work of Byron Katie, when you use that powerful way to detect what is true of your thoughts and what isn't, your world will change. And you will become someone who will be able to contribute that happiness that you're seeking to you and the people around you. It just doesn't work with a mind that believes stuff that's just not true. But that can be changed. So if you're joining us online, I just invite you to check out this amazing practice of cleansing the mind with the mind. You can go to thework.com, thework.com, and there's a lot of information for free. Happiness happens when we do nothing else. No, that was totally wrong. It's probably true also. I really wanted to say unhappiness happens when we do nothing else. Because we're conditioned to think the way everybody else thinks. And then we end up feeling the way everybody else thinks, right? We're just part of this thing called humanity. And happiness happens when we do nothing else, not even think those thoughts, but just hang out. Hang out with ourselves, hang out in our hearts. Hang out in that space that is so open inside of us all the time. It's just amazing that we can't find it so many times. That we make this incredible effort to be tense, have problems, and really believe in them. And if somebody tells us that life is good, we get angry at them. Damn it, you're not respecting my problems. We can change the game. Because what everyone is looking for is already fully here, fully in your heart. So let's take a few more minutes and take another greedy sip of that juice of the heart. And then I want to invite you to just take that sip again and again and again all week long, or 2 weeks until we meet again. Really just as if you want to suck it dry. Trust me, you won't be able to manage, because there is no end to the juice of the heart, the love, the bliss, the peace in the very core of your being. So come back and bring your attention to this area of the chest and relax into that space. Breathe through it, through that chest, through the heart. Let it come to life. And perhaps first it's a little stillness you find. And then get hungry for that, get more of that. Just let the thoughts go. Brush them off to the left and right. They'll come back, don't worry. And find that space of the heart. That exquisite sweetness. Think of the most happy moment of your life. And you'll feel it right now. Keep your heart open to it. Let it blossom, let it expand. And know that this deep happiness, the source of all fulfillment, is inside of you. And if you keep your mind to it, nothing will be more powerful in the long run. Many of us don't find it easy to stay in the heart. And it's meant to be that way at first. Because if it was so easy, it wouldn't mean that much. But it is the presence of God, presence of your own divine self that is beckoning you. It is waiting and waiting for you to notice, to come home to yourself. And so we like to close with a little kirtan. I know it's hard to open your eyes right now. Yes? Just stay in that heart space. And then let this tune, come here. Let this tune of the kirtan, it's a song to Krishna, that great lover of humanity. Let that song just expand your heart, wash through your heart even more.
So can you do the response?
Okay, I'll do my best.
The words are very easy. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Bolo.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Bolo.
We'll do it. So we'll do one line, I'll sing one line, and then
Radha.
you sing with Ramgiri the next line. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha
Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda
Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya
Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda
Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya Be well, be happy, take good care of yourself. Remember that all you really want is in the heart, and find it there. Namaste.